This is CBJ in 30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. Find out more and open an account online at telhio.org. Now here's your host, Bob McElligott.
The bare necessity for the Blue Jackets tonight is to get 2 points in their final home game of the regular season, and to do that, they're going to have to go through the Bruins of Boston. Welcome to a game day edition of CBJ in 30, presented by Telhio Credit Union. I'm Bob McElligott. The Blue Jackets have a 5-game winning streak intact as they come back home here tonight to take on Boston. It'll be the third and final meeting of the year between the two teams. The Blue Jackets won here a couple of weeks ago, put up 7 goals on the Boston Bruins that night, and then a few days later, they lost in Boston in overtime. So this one decides whether somebody wins this series or if it just goes down. I guess Boston would win it even if the Blue Jackets were to lose it straight out. They would have 2 wins, but Blue Jackets are either going to be 2-0-1 or 1-1-1 or 1-0-2, right? So what's that told you? Nothing. I've told you nothing so far. Nothing. I forgot exactly where the heck I was going with the whole thing. But anyway, 2 points. That's what you need. 2 points. And then you need Tampa to beat Montreal tonight. If those 2 things happen, that would equal 4. 2 points for the Blue Jackets, 2 points taken away from Montreal. 4 is the magic number. To get to where the Blue Jackets want to go, and that's the postseason, 4 is the magic number. Don't think this will be easy tonight. This will be extremely hard. When the Blue Jackets played the Bruins a few weeks ago, they were missing some key components from their lineup. Those components are back. Most notably, their top goal scorer, David Pastrnak. He was out with injury. He is back, and he is scoring at a pretty good pace right now. Brad Marchand. You hate Brad Marchand. There's no question. If he's not on your team, you hate him. You can't stand him. He scored the overtime winner the last time the two teams played. He's got 98 points on the year. If the Blue Jackets aren't cognizant of his presence tonight, let me dumb it down for you. If they don't know where he is, they're going to get hurt by him, okay? So they have got to just be playing the same type of team defense that they've played for the last 5 games, because that team defense has led to an offense which has been terrific. Coming up, this is a show of interviews today. Must be getting close to playoff time because I'm ramping it up and really getting into it. You're going to hear from Pierre-Luc Dubois. You'll hear from defenseman Dean Kukan, and also a former Blue Jacket who's in town to broadcast this game tonight on NBC Sportsnet. Former goaltender Brian Boucher is going to join me. All of them are coming up on this show. It's a very interview-driven CBJ in 30 today. But first, I start with the guy that I talk to all the time on this show, and that's Blue Jackets head coach John Tortorella. Torch, as you've watched individuals on your team come back to life over the course of the last couple of games, it seemed like it was Pierre-Luc Dubois' night the other night in Buffalo, picks up a goal and a couple of assists. How important is it to get him going again? The kid that you gave so much responsibility to this year, maybe so much that he got tired out, as you've said before. How big is it to get him back? How much do you need to have him back at this time of the year?
Well, it's important, that line. I thought the whole line played well. And where I thought the night before in Nashville, they were just awful. If we're going to keep some balance in our lines and kind of run 4 lines out there, that needs to be a very important line for us. And, Luke's a young guy, has had some struggles, bounced off the top line when we made the trade, bounced back on, now he's off again, hasn't put points up. He's trying to figure out how to get his game back. The most important point for him to understand, and this is what we've told him, you're not a Panarin with all the tricks and stuff like that making plays. That's what he kind of turned into when he wasn't getting points. He was trying to make too many plays instead of relying on being a power forward that has really good skill. So he needs to be reminded what order you need to play and where you become a complete player.
When he's playing with Panarin, even though the center normally drives the line, Panarin kind of controls what happens on that line. So is this maybe a better fit for him in some way, shape, or form? Because Josh Anderson, we know, is straight to the net, and then he can play the same type of way.
Luke's going to have the puck more. You can see, and it's the only guy we let come back and get the puck from the defenseman is Panarin, because he's so good and so instinctive coming through the neutral zone. So there's no question that Luke is going to have the puck more. I think it's going to give him more confidence if he makes plays and is able to play in a power position. That's what he did in Buffalo. He was, I thought he was on a mission. He was basically told it's not good enough as far as what's going on with his game, and I thought he really grabbed a hold of himself, kept his game simple, played straight ahead and won a lot of battles, not only offensively on the boards, but defensively too. He played much better defensively.
About a month ago, your transition game, defense getting the pucks to the offense, was totally out of sync, wasn't going well at all. It's really going well now. Everything's going well, but you have Dean Kukan come in on the back end. You know, sometimes it's funny with young guys because the guy's on a two-way contract, so you don't want to send him down, but he's not playing. And he goes for, months without playing the game. To see him step in at this time of the year and do what he's doing right now, how impressed are you?
Yeah, I'm happy for him, first of all, but more happy for the team because he brings us an element, especially with Murray being out, that we need. He's a puck mover. He has great legs as far as skating. The thing that impresses me is that he's much more willing and has a much better understanding as far as positioning in that position, if I can say that. Has won a lot of battles in the corners, has not let opposing players play out of corners as much as he was before. And you can see he has a ton of confidence with the puck. So as far as how we're trying to play up-tempo and trying just to advance the puck and get the puck up to the forwards, he sees it, he makes quick plays, and it gets us on the offense.
Speaking of a guy in the back end with confidence, Marcus Dubois has made some unbelievable passes in the last couple of games. I mean, you go back to Nashville, I think it was backhand between the legs, doesn't even look across the ice. You know, we've seen him up and down like a roller coaster this year. What has him on his game right now?
Yeah, it's his legs. Whenever we talk about Nudie, and if you asked me 6 or 7 games ago, he was struggling. There was some problems with his game, and showed us some tape. We talked to him a little bit about his legs, and not to be as safe. My biggest, I guess, complaint with him, he's always looking east-west. He always looks for his partner, and it slows down our offense instead of getting north and moving your legs, bringing someone to you, move the puck up to the forwards. When he starts playing that way, everything falls into place for his game, and I think he has found himself now.
How much has the offense been benefiting from the fact that all of the defensemen are getting the puck to the blue paint again?
Yeah, it's a big point we talk about before every game. Just advance the puck. Sometimes it doesn't have to be on the tape. It can be put into an area. It can be chunked up the boards just to get the puck into the neutral zone and let the forwards do their work. So we've really concentrated on, first of all of us coming back in our end zone, and then all of us attacking out of our end zone. And if we're going to attack and have the proper speed coming across the opposition's blue line, we need to advance the puck to the forwards.
Saturday night was an impressive win in Nashville, but what I was really impressed by is Sunday you go into Buffalo, a team that is really struggling, a team that on paper you should bury them, quite frankly. And your team went in and did that. Now, there have been other times this year where you've let teams like that hang around, maybe you've lost to them. How big of a sign is it to you that your team is really going based on what they did in that game?
Yeah, it was a really good sign. And we talked about before the game about this is probably, out of the 4 games coming up, we have 3 left, this is probably the most important one because this sets us up for what's going to happen. Can we look up and start looking up at people, or do we have to keep on looking behind us? And I thought after the first few minutes, I thought we got going. Certainly scoring the first goal helped us. And then we took off from there.
Does it amaze you that somehow through all of this, you've still been able to control your own destiny as a team?
Yeah. You know what? I give our team a lot of credit. I'm not sure what's going to happen here in the next 3 games, but for where we're at right now, and some of the things that have surrounded this team, and I guess you can call them, if you want to call them distractions, I think the guys have really handled themselves well to give themselves an opportunity to do the stuff that they can do to get themselves in.
Again, this is the next toughest one on paper between now and the end of the season. You've played this Boston team well this year. It's a final home game. I know they have some bodies back that they didn't have in the lineup the last 2 times that you played them, but is there anything that you have to do differently, or is it just the same game you've been playing the last 5?
No, we got to keep on playing the way we've been playing. We've got to be ready to play with high energy tonight. Boston's lost, I think, 2 straight now. They're still fighting for home ice as far as their first round. They'll be ready to play. They're healthy. They're a really good hockey club.
Would you rather play a game like this? I mean, even though you're going down the stretch, that it still has this kind of intensity?
Yeah. Again, I don't differentiate. I think all games are hard. We're gonna, after this game, we're going to talk about the Rangers in Ottawa being out. They're not in the playoffs. They're not playing for anything. They're going to be hard games. It does not matter. All games in this league are hard.
All right, Torts, thanks. Good luck.
All right, Bobby.
That's Blue Jackets head coach John Tortorella. He's right. All games are hard, but I just think that this one is going to have more of a tough edge to it tonight because of Boston's situation, because they've lost a couple of games coming in here, because they want to get home ice. during the opening round of the playoffs when they take on the Toronto Maple Leafs. I mean, they know their matchup. They know it's going to be them and Toronto. It's just a matter of where it begins. And why does that hold a lot of water for the Boston Bruins? I'll tell you why. Because they are great at home, and they are just okay on the road. They are 29-8-3 on home ice. They are 18-15-6 on the road. So if you were them, wouldn't you want to start that series on home ice? Absolutely you would. There's no question about it. So that's what makes this game really, really important for the Boston Bruins. This game and everything they have left. So they're not going to be resting anybody. They're not going to be taking any shifts off. They are going to be ready to go, and the Blue Jackets have to make sure that they are the same way, that they're ready to go and that they match it tonight, no matter what. Now, I talked with John Tortorella about Pierre-Luc Dubois, and I was so happy to see him come to life the other day in Buffalo and to get his 3 points, because I feel like ever since he got taken off the top line and put on that second line with Dzingel and Anderson, that it has affected him a little bit. And I think if you look at the Nashville game, and Torch talked about it, that there were shifts that line missed in that game. And as he said, they were no good. So they got the message, and they came back strong in Buffalo. Dubois had 3 points, a goal and 2 assists. Josh Anderson had a goal that made it a 4-0 game. They looked good in that game. They've got to continue to look good because they give the Blue Jackets something that they haven't had all year, a legitimate threat second line. Remember, at one point, and I can tell you when it was, when the Blue Jackets were in Winnipeg, and John Tortorella famously stood in front of all the television cameras to get his message across all of Canada, across all of the world, when he said, I have one center who's playing right now. That was Dubois at the time. I have one center that's playing, which meant that he had one line, and the other three were at best a crapshoot. Really. I have one center that's playing. Now he's got way more than that. Now he's got 4 centers that are playing, and he has 4 balanced lines. But for Pierre-Luc Dubois, he understands where he's been this year and where he has to be this week and hopefully going into next.
PL, for you, you've watched all these other guys start to get their game back and get their goals and get their points, and you had still kind of been waiting, but the other day was a breakout for you in Buffalo. How good does it feel for you to start to produce again offensively?
Feels good, but, 5 wins in a row, so feels a lot better. We have a good mood right now in the room. Everybody's happy. Obviously, we're not done. We're not done yet, but whenever you win, it makes everybody happy.
But it also, everybody's a part of it, right? And, you were a part of that game. Panarin has 4 goals the night before. Everybody is doing something right now from top to bottom in this lineup, aren't they?
Yeah, and to win, that's what we're going to need. It'd be fun if every line could get a goal every game, but sometimes that's not how it's going to go, and sometimes it's one line's going to have to step up offensively, one line is going to have to step up defensively. It's really, you look at stats at the end of the game, but really, it goes further than that, and right now it's fun. Everybody's contributing offensively, but I think if you go further than that, I think everybody's doing a really good job of just playing a good game, playing a 200-foot game. Every line's contributing, in the D zone too, and that's what makes us dangerous right now.
How much has it changed for you when you're playing with Panarin? You've got that dynamic guy over there that's always doing something fancy and making plays. The line you're on right now, Josh Anderson is going straight to the net. Dzingel's going to be going to the net. And how much does that let you play your game, the power game that you're so good at?
Yeah, it's I think that's one thing about my game I can adjust to who I'm playing with. And Zinger and Andy are 2 amazing players, having 2 really good seasons. It's fun playing with them too. Andy, I wouldn't want to be getting on pucks first, if he's coming behind me on the forecheck. So, as a defenseman, so it's fun to play with him. He's playing really well right now too. And Zinger, he's a very smart guy. Who could find you in open areas, who can score, who can do pretty much anything like Andy. So. It's a hard line to contain, I think.
And for you guys, if you're going to have success, not only this week, but if you get to play beyond this week, if you're going to have success, your line can really dictate that too, because, better teams start to try to take out one line on a team. When you have that second line rolling and even the third and fourth like you do right now, that's what really makes it tough.
Yeah. Like I said, when if you want to win, if you want to go far, you need 4 lines. You can't have you can't just have 1 or 2 lines going. And right now everybody's going. Like I said, right now everybody's contributing offensively. And maybe at one point it's gonna. Some games where our line's going to be struggling offensively, but we got to still be good defensively, good on the forecheck. I think we have a good balance right now of all the lines that can do a lot of different things, not just score goals.
That sounds like such a boring answer, doesn't it? Well, we've got to play well defensively. If we don't do that, it's not going to work. It's more than just scoring goals. That sounds so boring, but it's so true. It is so absolutely true. And just look at this Blue Jackets team at the trade deadline. Like, they were at a point where they were playing blue collar. Obviously, if they hadn't played blue collar up until the trade deadline, they wouldn't have been near the playoff picture. So they're blue collar, and all of a sudden they get a whole bunch of white collar skill. And then they decide, whether it was consciously or not, they decide that they're so good, now their skill alone will help them to get the work done. And what happened after that? They tanked. They fell off a cliff. It wasn't working that way. They took the blue-collar aspect out of it, and the white-collar wouldn't carry them. So now they have found a good mix because the white-collar skill plays with a blue-collar attitude and plays blue-collar defense. And that is the difference. Tort says they come back as a group of 5. Dubois says we've got to play hard in our defensive zone. They do. They do. When you are blocking shots, when you are stealing pucks off sticks, when you are taking control of the puck in your defensive zone, you can immediately get it out to the neutral zone and get the transition game going. And once you have the transition game going, then your options are many. You can score with speed off the rush. You can get in and set something up. You can grind out a greasy goal, whatever. You have options. But you've got to possess the puck in your own zone. You do that with good defense, and then you get it out of there. And one guy that's been really good at getting it out of there is Dean Kukan. And if you would have said to me at any point this year up until today, if you would have said to me, you know what you're going to say at some point this year? You're going to say that a guy that's really good at getting the puck out of his own end is Dean Kukan. I would have said, you are nuts. You're out of your mind. And I wouldn't have said it because Dean's not good at it. I would have said it because Dean couldn't get in the doggone lineup. And then even what he did, typical young guy, you play nervous, you don't want to make a mistake, then you make a mistake, and then the coach gets you out of there for the next game. Dean Kukan has played 22 games this season for the Blue Jackets. 22 games. He has a mere 5 assists. That's all he has when it comes to points. He has 5 assists. That's not very many, but he hasn't played very much. So what would you expect? But I'll tell you, and I'm going to try to look this up as I'm talking here. I mean, you talk about on the fly. That's what I'm doing right now. And you'd think I would have this information right at my fingertips before I started, but that would be just ludicrous. That would be crazy to think before I actually started on this subject or think before the show started and be completely prepared for this. I know. I'm buying every ounce of time I can, and I can't find the right page in this stat sheet here it comes. Here I'm finally getting to where I want to be. And now I'm getting away from the microphone and dropping off and the whole 9 yards. All right, let me see. Dean Kukan. He played 3 games in a row back in October 19th, 20th, 21st. Didn't play again until 1 game in November on the 5th. Didn't play another game until January the 5th and 6th. Then he played on the 8th. Then he sat out another 6 games. Then he played 2 out of 3 games. Then he sat for another 7 games. Then he played 3 in a row. Then he sat for 3 in a row. Then he played 2 in a row. Then he didn't play again for another 5. And now you can't take him out of the lineup. How does that happen? Well, I'll tell you one way it happens. Ryan Murray gets hurt. And that changes the dynamic on the back end once Ryan got hurt. So that's one part of it. The other thing is Scott Harrington then started to get sore. He had a sore groin, and that gave Dean a chance to get back in. You see I'm back in position where I need to be now, in front of the microphone, the correct way, not scrambling around here. So that allowed him to get in the lineup, and now they just can't take him out of the lineup. He's playing that well. He really is. And it amazes me. It really does. Because when you have played so few games all year, and then you get thrown in right in the midst of a playoff race in must-win situations to play as calmly and as well as he is, that is surprising. And that's what I like to call I almost screwed it up. That's what I like to call a pleasant surprise. That's what Dean Kukan is bringing to the Blue Jackets, and I had a chance to talk with him about that earlier today.
You waited so long to get into games. You would go for these long stretches and not play. How are you playing as well as you are right now?
I haven't played a lot this season, but I was working hard whenever I didn't play, and I think I worked on my game. So whenever I came in and got the chance to play, I think I was ready to play and just tried to have fun and play hard.
In the first couple of games, like you practice, as you said, you work in practice, you do everything you can do in practice, but it's not the same speed of the game. Did it take you a little time to adjust? Because it really didn't seem like it.
It's always hard. If you haven't played a lot and you come back in, like the first period always feels kind of like a little hard to get into. You just try to do simple things to get into the game, but after that, I think you're just in the game and you try to make plays and stuff.
One of the simple things you do is get the puck quickly from your stick to the forwards and get the transition going through the neutral zone. How important is that part of the game for you?
We talked a lot about this with this team, like the D just give the puck up to the forwards because we have a lot of skilled forwards that can make stuff happen. So our job is to give them the puck, and they score the goals.
A couple of weeks ago around here, there were a lot of questions, and there wasn't really a great feeling. But in this past week, with the way that everybody has played and everybody's been a part of it, how good does it feel in this room?
Yeah, it feels really good. I think the last couple of games we played really good. Everyone stepped up an inch, and we've been a really good team lately. So trying to continue that the last 3 games of the season. Yeah.
This is the last home game here tonight. I know the points are very important for you guys. This is a really good team you go up against tonight. Is this just about playing the same way you've been playing for the last 5 games?
Yeah, exactly. I think if we do what we did the last 5 games, we got a good chance to win the game tonight. Even though Boston is a good team, but I think if we play our game, we got a good chance.
That is Blue Jackets defenseman Dean Kukan, and his play in the transition game is really helping the Blue Jackets during this 5-game winning streak. Right now I'm going to tell you about Ohio Credit Union. We talk about being on a streak. These guys and gals at Ohio Credit Union, you know what they've done? They've put people over profits. They have helped their members since 1934. That's quite a streak, isn't it? Over 80 years. That's how long of a streak that is. What do they help them do? They help them make sure that they're getting the most out of their money. Maybe it's something as simple as a checking account. And maybe you just think, well, I'll just open a checking account. I'll get a checkbook. I'll write a check if I have to. Get a check card, whatever. Well, there's other options for checking accounts. There's other benefits you can get, other bonus items that are part of your checking account. And right now, if you're saying, well, what do you mean? What, like it's a checking account. What could you possibly get? I'll tell you. I'll tell you how to find out. Go to telhio.org. Right there on their website, they'll show you all the different checking account types that they have and the benefits that they have that might be helpful to you. They'll tell you all about the personal loans that they do. They'll tell you about the CDs that you can put your money in and get a quick investment with the interest. All of that stuff. They'll tell you why you should become a member of Ohio Credit Union. And if you can't find what you're looking for, or if it's just too much for you to sift all through and you just want to talk to somebody, click on the live help button, and you will be able to live chat button. I said live help. I knew that wasn't right. Live chat button, and you can chat with somebody right then and there. You can also stop by any Ohio Credit Union branch around town, or you can, well, no, it's one of those two things, quite frankly. But you can go in and talk to somebody there. Ohio Credit Union is open to everyone in central and southwestern Ohio. They're federally insured by NCUA. I've got one more interview for you. And this is from a guy that was a Blue Jacket for a very limited time. He wasn't here for very long. He enjoyed his time here, but it just wasn't a long period of time. And that is Brian Boucher, former goaltender, and he is now working as a broadcaster because all the good ones do. All the good ones eventually come to the dark side, and they turn into broadcasters. I like to say that. I don't know why I say to the dark side. I guess it's because when we're interviewing them as they're playing, sometimes it's like the worst thing in the world is them doing an interview with us, and then all of a sudden they are us, and they're doing the interview. So that's why I always call it the dark side. But during the 2006-2007 season, Brian Boucher was part of the Blue Jackets for only 3 games. But again, now he's a national broadcaster. He works for NBC and NBC Sportsnet. He's here because they are covering the game tonight on TV, and I had a chance to catch up with him.
As you've gone around the league and you've watched everything that's going on, and we come down to the final week here, how do you see this Eastern Conference? Still a big 3-team race between the Blue Jackets, Montreal, and Carolina to see, number one, who gets in, and then who winds up in one spot.
Yeah, it's it's going to be a heck of a battle to the end, and I think, when you get in, it's great to get in, but I think a lot of people want to get that number 7 seed, not as a disrespect to, the Washington Capitals if the Caps do win the Metro, but I think everybody's trying to stay away from, the Tampa Bay Lightning if they can. So, I think the desperation level of these teams has come up. I think for Columbus, they've found, some line combinations that seem to be working for them right now. They're peaking at the right time. Their goaltender is playing like a Vezina Trophy winner, like a lot of people would have expected. And sometimes it's about the timing of when you start playing well. And I think for the Blue Jackets, that's the case right now. I mean, they're peaking at the right time, and I think their hope is that they can finish the job here tonight and make sure they secure a spot to get into the postseason. But it's as a fan, it's a fun time of year to watch these games.
It's funny, you're talking about maybe Washington being a better matchup than Tampa, and the irony is that Washington is the defending Stanley Cup champs, and that they're cranking it up too. And it really, I guess it shouldn't be a surprise. Washington and Pittsburgh, they've got their game going right when they need to. The Islanders have been a surprise this year, and that they've been there. Carolina certainly has too. But it's not often that defending Stanley Cup champion team is a team that you're going, I'd rather play them than the other guys.
Yeah, right? And that's what I mean. No disrespect to their team. I think it's more about the job that Tampa's done all year long. Although, a lot of pressure on Tampa as well when you think about it, to go wire to wire and win a Stanley Cup after having a great regular season like that, not an easy thing to do. They hear what people are saying about them. They're reading the clippings. There's no doubt they'd have to be, try to be oblivious to all of it, but it's impossible. So they know what's at stake. So there is going to be some pressure on them. And when you get in a series and if you fall down 2-0, or if you hit some adverse times, how do you respond to it? Just because you had 127 points in the regular season or whatever they have, it doesn't necessarily translate that you're going to get out of it come a playoff series. So, the Caps are a team that they've been there last year. They did it. They won last year, and they have the guys that have the experience now. So, you be careful what you wish for. I mean, if you do get them, they could be a team that would be tough to beat as well. In Pittsburgh, same deal. Even though they weren't there last year, there's going to be no easy playoff rounds when you start the playoffs.
You know Sergei Bobrovsky well. You're both former Flyers. In fact, I saw him light up when you walked into the room this morning to talk to him. He doesn't light up that much for most people. I'm just going to tell you that right now. But watching him, is there any surprise to you that he's turned it up right here at the end when he needs to?
No. I think with a guy like Bob, I mean, he's such a hard worker. That was one thing when I played with him early on that I was really impressed with. So I think the one concern that I always have when guys work hard is, do they know when to turn it off a little bit? Do they know when to rest? Do they have enough in the tank when it matters most? And right now it's an important time of year, so it's about managing your rest, managing, for the coaching staff to manage his time. It seems like they've done that at times this year, so his games played are not, too high. But no, I'm not surprised, because he's a guy that, he's so dialed in all the time. And as a goaltender, you wish you could play your best hockey at the most important times, and it doesn't always work out that way. Sometimes, you're a victim of circumstance. You could do all the right things, you could prepare the right way, but it just doesn't go your way. But for Bob right now, it seems like he's found a groove. The team seems to be peaking at the right time, and it's a product of everything that comes together. It's not just him, but the fact that the additions that they added at the deadline are starting to get more comfortable, and this is the team that I think a lot of people were expecting to see when they made those trades, that it would play out this way. And for Bob, he's one of the beneficiaries of that.
Talking with Brian Boucher, he's doing the game on NBC Sports Network tonight. As a former goalie, a 3-goalie system is never welcome, especially in practice, because 2 guys are going to have to share one net and all that stuff. But you just talked about Bobrovsky's rest, and ever since Keith Kincaid came here, it's given the team a chance to give him legitimate days off. And I mean, don't even dress and sit on the bench and be the backup. How valuable is that for a goalie, even though they don't want to do it? How valuable is it to get the time?
The time off is huge, and I think when you're a young guy, you don't want to take the time off because of the perception that it sends to your team or the coaching staff, right? I mean, you want to be known as a guy that's a team player, that works hard, is there at practice as well, and competes on every puck. But the reality is you have to work smart, and you learn that as you get a little bit older. Sometimes you need to be told, you're not going on the ice, and that's the best way to give a guy a day off. It helps the team to have 2 goaltenders in the net as far as practice plans are concerned. So if Bob does take a day off in the net, the practice doesn't get, messed up by having 1 goalie in the net. So that helps that way. The difficult part in the 3-goalie system is that the 2 guys, 2 and 3, their time in practice, their reps are not what they're typically used to unless Bob's not out there. So that's where the real challenge comes in. For Bob, nothing really changes. Maybe he gets a little bit more rest, which is good for him. But, it's not the most ideal of situations as a goaltender when you have 3 guys, especially if you're the 2 and 3 guy.
This is a team that doesn't get actually many national TV games, but they have one tonight, and you get a chance to come back here to Columbus, and you spend a short time as a member of the Blue Jackets. What's it like to come back into the building?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I'm looking forward to this tonight. Watched the last several games of the Blue Jackets, and there just seems to be an energy about this club right now that you can feel it, and the fans seem to really be into it. So it's exciting. Look, the game means a lot, right? The Blue Jackets win, they clinch, and that's always a great thing. And but they got a good opponent here tonight. It'll be a good test. I mean, the Bruins come in tonight. They haven't played their best in the last couple of games, or you could say 3 out of their last 4 haven't really been all that great. So for them, I think they were hoping they could rest some guys here down the stretch. It's playing out where maybe they have to, snap out of the little funk that they're in. So I expect that they'll be much better. I think it's going to be one heck of a hockey game here tonight.
How difficult is your job, because you're not with one team all the time like we are, traveling around, which like half your job's done every day you show up when you're traveling with the team. But to have to watch all these different games and be up on everybody every single night.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you got to watch a lot of hockey. You got to kind of know enough about everybody and maybe not a master of all. So, you when you come in, you drop it in. You're trying to pick the brains of the guys that do follow the team and get their insights as well. I mean, they can help you out with the ins and outs of a team when you're around a team all the time. So it can be challenging, but it's also good. I mean, you kind of get a little taste of everybody. And for that, it's good. You got to enjoy watching hockey if you want to be in this job. I love watching hockey. I love the game. So for me, it's a dream gig.
Thanks so much, and have fun tonight.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks.
That's Brian Boucher. He's a former Blue Jackets goaltender, but he's now a national broadcaster. He'll have the game along with Kenny Albert tonight on NBC Sportsnet. It's a game that gets underway at 7 o'clock this evening here at Nationwide Arena. You can hear the game on the Blue Jackets radio network. That's the only local version of the game you're going to get tonight with me on the radio. So you can turn down your TV sound. I like Boucher, and I like Kenny Albert. They're great guys, but you can turn them down and you can turn me on. I mean, turn me up. Or, well, it's up to you. But anyway, pregame coverage starts at 6:45 tonight on the Blue Jackets radio network, and that includes the flagship station, 97.1 The Fan in Columbus. You can also get the game by using your phone and going to the Blue Jackets app or the TuneIn app. If you want to use your computer or your laptop, just go to BlueJackets.com. And tonight we will be, again, this doesn't surprise me. This is great, and it's the way things should be. We are the feature game on SiriusXM NHL Radio once again tonight. That's Channel 91, and I've got the game for you there. So we are covered once again. Blue Jackets and the Bruins, 2 points are on the table. The Blue Jackets' magic number is 4 to clinch a playoff spot in the Eastern Conference. Will they get there tonight? We will soon know. Until then, I'm Bob McElligott saying so long.